Someone never tried to take like some of your belongings from you?
Now listen, I ain't gonna lie. I did run off on me before. I will tell you that. Did what they did.
Them did what they did and had to pay the consequence.
When I you know I'm a got way more heads than old claim she know.
They weren't just rappers. They weren't just gang members. They were both, documenting their alleged crimes in real time, turning Chicago's streets into a battlefield and their music into confessions.
When I ran up on that car, his ass looked up and he was stuck.
BLOODHOUND Lil Jeff and Q50 are two of the most infamous figures in the new era of Chicago drill. Rappers whose lyrics don't just talk about violence, they confirm it. From Emder to Retaliation, their music paints a bloody picture of Chicago's ongoing gang war. And as their enemies kept dropping, the body count just kept rising.
If I get mad enough, will start happening. Y'all know this by now. I went for like a week and poof.
But how did it get to this point? And just how many people lost their lives in the war surrounding Lil Jeff and Q50? Chicago's drill rap scene isn't just music, it's a battlefield. And Lil Jeff was one of his most dangerous players. But Jeff's story didn't start with music. It started with bloodshed. Jeffrey Lamar Harris, better known as Lil Jeff, was born on July 14, 2002, and raised on Chicago's East Side, an area known for its heavy gang activity. But for Jeff, the streets weren't just something happening around him. They were his family business. His older brother, Jay Boogie, was already caught up in that life, and Jeff looked up to him. He saw Jay Boogie carrying guns, making money, and gaining respect in the hood. To a young kid like Jeff, that looked like the only way to survive. But things took a turn when Jeff was just 11 years old. He witnessed something no child should ever see, the unalivement of Kenny Mack, a well-known figure in the neighborhood. That moment changed Jeff forever. Before that, he was just another kid trying to fit in. But after witnessing that K-ing, he wasn't just in the streets anymore. He wanted revenge. Like many kids growing up in rough neighborhoods, Jeff had dreams of making it to the NBA. He played basketball, hoping it could be his ticket out. But reality hit hard when he realized he wasn't gonna make it. With his hoop dreams crushed, Jeff turned to the next thing that gave him status: drill music.
That's the gang, you know that. He trying to claim, but he a lame. We don't know that.
Drill wasn't just rap. It was a way for gang members to send threats, celebrate kings, and prove they weren't to be messed with. Jeff quickly found out that in this world, being feared meant being famous. His early music sounded different. His voice was still high-pitched, almost like a kid trying to sound tough. But his lyrics? They were beyond disturbing. He wasn't just rapping about the streets. He was naming real people, real Emders, and real enemies. The more violent his music got, the more people paid attention. His rise to prominence in Chicago's drill scene was deeply tied to the escalating violence between rival gangs. And by the time of his death in June 2024, Jeff had become synonymous with the 06679 Civil War, a deadly conflict that began after the death of his cousin, Z Money, in March 2023. The Emder of Z Money, allegedly at the hands of members of Trap City, shattered the fragile alliance between Drill City, Trap City, and Chris World, turning what was once a relatively stable scene into a battleground. As tension soared, Jeff was thrust into the heart of the conflict, using his music and social media presence to fan the flames of this deadly feud. Following the death of Z Money, Jeff's music took a darker turn. He had already been known in the drill scene for his hard-hitting beats and street-smart lyrics, but now his tracks began to reflect the violence around him more directly. He released songs like Coffin, Stretched, and FTO, each one laced with violent imagery and references to real Emders.
Subliminal, yeah. On the net, that's some internet criminal. Want to that, I'd rather just give it them.
These songs weren't just catchy drill anthems. They were aggressive responses to the growing tension and deaths in the streets. His lyrics became explicit, with references to specific incidents, and his music began to serve as a soundtrack to the war unfolding around him.
7 dead in my city, I'm up now. I heard he went fed, how the he back out. Called, he was loafing his clap down. He on the
Jeff's social media presence played a significant role in the violence that surrounded him. He was particularly active on Instagram Live, where he would engage in online confrontations with members of Trap City, taunting them and referencing Emders as if they were mere points in a game. His posts were often filled with direct threats and references to street life. and at times, he would seem to boast about the violence he had been involved in. One of the most shocking aspects of Jeff's online persona was the revelation that his own mother allegedly encouraged his street activities through text messages that later went viral. This only fueled the perception that Jeff was fully immersed in the lifestyle, and that his family, rather than trying to pull him away from it, was actively supporting his choices. As the violence in Chicago escalated, so did Jeff's involvement in it. The death of Trap City member Lil Goins on June 25, 2023 marked another significant moment in the war, and Jeff was quick to reference it in his music. Lee was often Little Italy, a typically safe and gentrified area of the city, making the Emder all the more shocking. Jeff's music became more openly violent, often mentioning specific acts of retaliation. As the year continued, the violence in the city only grew, with rumors circulating that Jeff had been involved in even more killings. By November 2023, 2 more MDers were attributed to him, Little Deuce and D-Money, both of whom were often a parked car. But despite the mounting violence, Jeff's music career continued to soar. His songs gained more attention, especially after the downtown double homicide on January 26, 2024, in which 2 high school students, Montario Williams, and Lil Robert Boston, were shot dead near Washington L Station in broad daylight.
Gunmen opened fire on a group of high schoolers on their lunch break from class. 2 of them in the middle of downtown Chicago.
The timing and location of the shooting made it impossible for the city to ignore, and it garnered significant media attention. The killings, in which Jeff was rumored to be involved, only served to boost his notoriety. His song Ah, released in February 2024, contained apparent references to the Emders, and the video quickly garnered nearly 2 million views.
If I told you about what I did, when I speak it's only facts, he was screaming out when he got hit.
Jeff posted on social media about 2 hats, a slang term for Emders, and even updated his neck tattoo to include 10 teardrops, with 2 of them connected, likely symbolizing these kings. His lyrics began to reference school shootings and graduations, a disturbing way of glorifying violence that seemed to only increase his popularity in the drill scene. In the months that followed, Jeff continued to gain attention and success in the music world, but the violence surrounding him intensified. He made numerous social media posts that appeared to claim responsibility for killings, adding to his reputation as someone who was actively involved in the streets. By May 2024, Jeff claimed to have 11 victims, which made him one of the most notorious figures in the Chicago drill scene. Jeff wasn't just rapping about deadly acts anymore, he was carrying them out. His music became more aggressive, more detailed, and even more self-incriminating. But he wasn't working alone, because his young protege, Q50, was watching and learning. Michaela Cooper, better known as Q50, wasn't just another street kid trying to make a name for himself. He was raised in the Kellys. His world was one where survival meant being ruthless, calculated, and always ready for war. Unlike some gang members who get pulled into the streets later in life, Q50 was born into it. He grew up bouncing between Chicago and Indiana, but no matter where he went, he was surrounded by violence. And in the streets of Chicago, he found a second home with the Bloodhounds, one of the city's most feared cliques. But the person who influenced him the most? His cousin, Lil Jeff. Jeff wasn't just family, he was Q50's blueprint for how to move in the streets. Jeff's reputation was legendary. He was feared, respected, and always on the offensive. Q50 idolized that. He saw how Jeff handled business, how he made a name through drill music, and how he backed up his words with action. So when Lil Jeff went on his revenge spree after the death of his cousin's money, Q50 watched closely. He studied how Jeff moved, how he carried out his attacks, and how he used social media and music to keep the war going. Lil, whose real name was Jalil Goins, was the first significant body tied to Lil Jeff and Q50's war. On June 25, 2023, Lil was sitting in a rideshare near the UIC campus when his vehicle was ambushed. More than 20 rounds were fired into the car, instantly killing him and wounding the driver. Surveillance footage captured a dark-colored SUV pulling up beside the rideshare just before shots rang out. But why was Lil targeted? Sources claim Lil had ties to Trap City, a rival faction of Bloodhounds, and had been linked to dissing fallen members of Jeff's camp. Some reports suggest Lil wasn't even an active gang member, just someone in the wrong circle at the wrong time. His MDR marked the beginning of a violent chain reaction that would only escalate. Unlike most of Jeff and Q50's alleged victims, Glenn survived his encounter. In September 2023, Glenn, a known member of Trap City, was leaving a liquor store on the east side when he was ambushed. Witnesses reported seeing two masked gunmen approach his car before unloading dozens of rounds. Glenn was hit multiple times but miraculously survived.
Game 10, Jeff, game 5, I guess that wasn't enough.
Despite this, he refused to cooperate with police, a standard response in Chicago's gang culture. Instead, he took to Instagram Live, showing his bullet wounds and vowing revenge. This shooting led to an escalation of disses between Bloodhounds and Trap City, with Glenn's associates taunting Jeff online. Just a month later, another body would drop in what appeared to be a direct retaliation for Glenn's shooting. Lil Sko was a rising rapper affiliated with Jeff's rivals. In July 2024, he was lured to an abandoned house under the false pretense of recording a music video. According to police reports, Sko arrived at the location with two friends. The moment they entered, mass shooters emerged from a back room and opened fire. Sko was hit multiple times and died at the scene, while his friends managed to escape. The shocking part? Less than 24 hours later, Q50 previewed a song on Instagram, laughing and rapping. Told bro line him up, he ain't even know it was a setup. It wasn't just a diss, it was a full admission that the hit was premeditated. The lyrics mirrored the details of the crime, making it clear that Lil Sko was set up from the start. One of the most tragic moments of this ongoing war happened in January 2024 when two high school students, Monty and Lil Rob, were gunned down while walking home from school. The word on the street was that Monty had stolen some jewelry from Lil Jeff, and that might have been what got them targeted. A few weeks later, Lil Jeff dropped one of his biggest songs, and it blew up. The music video now has over 4 million views, and the whole song seems like a diss aimed at Monty and Lil Rob. Jeff basically laid out the details of their unalivements in the lyrics, making it clear he wasn't afraid to talk about what went down.
If I told you about what I did, when I spit facts, he was screaming out when he got hit.
The song's success took Jeff's rap career to another level, but at the same time, it made him even wilder on social media. He was already reckless, but now he had more attention, and he kept pushing things further, taunting his enemies and stirring up even more drama. Ironically, one of Lil Jeff and Q50's favorite hobbies was seemingly robbing people of their jewelry. In early May, they would once again catch a new lick, proudly showing their bounty off on social media. Lil Jeff's hand and his new allegedly stolen watch still had blood on it, seemingly from beating up or shooting their victim. The victim would turn out to be a man called 6300 Bro, who Jeff and Q50 would call out during one of their many Instagram lives. Q50 would later also talk about this event in his songs, like Make It Far, where he raps about how they smacked both Bro and his girlfriend when they robbed him. Bro was associated with a set called TMC, located on the west side near Marquette Park. This set also includes a rapper called TMC Slide, who had been putting out music for several years. Soon after the alleged robbery, Bro would go on Instagram Live several times together with his TMC friends, like Slide and another rapper called Nutso, seemingly in an effort to save face after this debacle. Jeff, Q50, and the Bloodhounds now had a brand new beef on their hands. And just like how things had seemingly gone down with Monty and Rob, things would escalate again very quickly. Just about a week later, something would seemingly happen to TMC Slide, with Q50 hopping on social media to declare that Slide was now deleted and out of the picture. Jeff would even go on Instagram Live around this time, saying that he was now up 11 bodies. However, this would also be around the same time when an alleged member of the 80 mob called Baby KD, real name Kill Dunbar, would also be offed. He too would get associated with being one of Jeff's victims in online rumors. Lil Jeff's bio, where he claimed he had 11 bodies, could seemingly be referring to either one of these people. However, in Slide's case, there would be confusion about what exactly had happened and whether or not Slide was even dead. Lil Jeff even made a post saying, "Is he dead or alive?" before stating that he knows the truth but the ops don't want to tell, as well as saying, "Pull the plug," making it seem as if Slide was perhaps only being kept alive with the help of life support. Slide would then seemingly return to his social media, posting that he was out of the country on a holiday in the Dominican Republic and telling people to stop calling his phone. However, based on his social media, it seemed like this trip had likely been all the way back in March 2024. Still, someone would also go live on his Instagram account, seemingly from somewhere with palm trees. But interestingly, this person never showed their face to the camera. Meanwhile, Jeff would keep trolling Slide, going live from LA, where he was on a trip with Vert and Lil Show, saying how he hadn't heard from Slide since he had crashed into a building. This was seemingly one of the first clues about what had actually happened to him. Jeff would once again say, pull the plug on his life support. At the end of May, Q50 would again post on his story saying that people are delusional and should stop acting like Tack is still alive. He would also update his body count, posting on Facebook that he was now up 8, whereas back in March 2024, his K count had seemingly still been at 7. At the time, it wasn't yet clear if he was referring to KD or Slide, but this would seemingly change when Q50 dropped the song Make It Far, where he raps about having 8 bodies, even though people were still trying to claim his last victim was alive. This being a rather obvious reference to Slide.
I went up 8 at first, it was 7, they still trying to say his ass pending.
In June, Vert 2 would join in on dissing Slide, posting a story on his IG asking Slide to post a picture or something to prove that he's still alive and well. However, once again, Slide's Instagram account would come back to life as someone posted a story asking why people thought he was dead. They also pointed out that no media outlet, such as the legal help firm Facebook page, which often posts about people off in Chicago, had posted anything about Slide. However, someone commented on a post about Slide's social media saying that they knew Slide's family and that he was indeed fighting for his life, and that it was actually Slide's brother who was using his Instagram account. As Q50 began posting more music around July 2024, and as many of his songs were leaked, there would be an abundance of new Slide disses. In the song Splash Bros, he rapped about how Slide had seemingly gotten shot a month ago and hadn't been talking since, meaning the song was likely made around mid-June. In his next officially released song, First Day Out, Q50 claimed that Slide had gotten shot before crashing his car. In a leaked song with Lil Sko titled Bad Boy, he seemingly revealed that Slide had been shot with a 10 MBTM pistol. In another leaked song, Scarface, featuring Philly rapper Hood T, he made perhaps his most revealing claim, rapping that the trenches know who shot Slide, before saying that the fact that people were claiming Slide was still alive was really bothering him. Meanwhile, members of TMC would do a hood vlog with On a Couch TV, where they commented on Slide's current situation, seemingly admitting that he had indeed gotten shot, but also saying that he was still alive and doing well. They implied that the Bloodhounds just like to troll about everything. We in Chicago, bro. Everybody gets shot, bro. Everybody gets shot, one TMC member said. But not everybody got $400,000 or $500,000 when it happens to their homies though. Unfortunately, when Lil Jeff was off in June 2024, Q50 was right there, allegedly shooting back at the car trying to escape. A female witness crashed her car 2 miles away and later cooperated with police, providing critical details about the incident. But even with that information, Q50 walked free, and instead of laying low, he doubled down. With Jeff gone, Q50 became the new face of Bloodhounds, rapping, sliding, and taunting his enemies every chance he got. At that point, it was no longer just about making a name for himself, it was about continuing the war his cousin started. Q50 has stepped up, becoming one of the most reckless and feared young shooters in his circle. He isn't just rapping about the violence, he's in the middle of it. He has started to gain a reputation as someone who isn't afraid to press the issue, slide on his enemies, and put in work for the Bloodhounds. And just like Jeff, he's making sure people know about it. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.